What if I told you your business idea can get thousands of views, hundreds of comments, and still be completely worthless? Not bad, not weak. Worthless, because nobody is actually paying. And that's the part most people refuse to see. They confuse attention with demand. They think if people are watching, it means people care. But markets don't care about attention. They care about money. And if money is not moving, nothing else matters. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. If you removed likes, views, and comments from your business today, would anything remain? Would anyone still pay? Or would everything collapse? Because most growing businesses are not growing at all. They are just visible. And visibility creates a dangerous illusion. It makes you believe something is working, while in reality, nothing is converting. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Markets lie. They lie through attention, through engagement, and through false signals that look like demand. People will watch your content, praise your idea, and even recommend it to others without ever paying for it. And if you don't catch this early, you don't just lose time. You build an entire business on top of a market that doesn't exist. Most entrepreneurs don't fail because they execute poorly. They fail because they choose the wrong market. A market that looks active but doesn't pay. A market that reacts but doesn't convert. And once you're inside it, everything feels like progress. You're building, improving, optimizing. But none of it translates into revenue. Because the problem was never execution. It was validation. Commercial realism starts with one question: who is actually paying and why? Not who is interested, not who is watching, but who is paying. Because a real market is defined by transactions. If money is not moving, the market is not real. And this forces you to shift from assumptions to evidence, from opinions to behavior, from hope to proof. Take WeWork. On the surface, it looked like explosive success. Massive expansion, global presence, constant attention. But underneath, the business model depended on a fragile assumption about demand. When financial reality surfaced, the gap between perception and payment became obvious. The market looked strong, but it wasn't strong enough to sustain the model. Now compare that to Netflix. In its early days, the signal was simple. People paid, and they kept paying. Subscription after subscription. That recurring revenue proved something critical. The demand was real. Not because people talked about it, but because they committed to it financially. That is the difference between attention and validation. This happens at every level. A freelancer can have an audience and still struggle to earn. A startup can get traction and still fail to convert. Because attention is easy to generate, but payment is difficult. And if your business depends on attention without conversion, it is unstable from the start. So how do you identify a market that actually pays? You look for signals that are hard to fake. Repeat purchases. Urgent problems. Customers choosing your solution even when alternatives exist. These are not surface-level indicators. These are behavioral proofs. And once you see them, you no longer need to guess. Airbnb is a clear example. In the beginning, the idea sounded uncertain, but the founders tested it directly. They put it in front of real users and observed whether people would pay, and they did. That early signal mattered more than opinions or feedback. It proved that the market existed. Commercial realism changes how you build. You stop chasing attention and start chasing conversion. You stop optimizing for engagement and start optimizing for transactions. And you stop trying to appeal to everyone. Instead, you focus on the people who are already willing to pay. The biggest trap is building in a market that feels exciting but doesn't convert. Because excitement is temporary, but a non-paying market is permanent. And the longer you stay in it, the more you justify it. You adapt your expectations, lower your standards, and continue investing in something that never had real commercial potential. Real markets are often less visible, less glamorous, less exciting, but they share one defining characteristic. People pay consistently, and that consistency is what allows businesses to survive and grow. Without it, everything else is unstable, no matter how impressive it looks. Before you build, before you scale, before you invest more time and energy, ask the only question that matters: who is already paying for this? If you don't have a clear answer, you don't have a market. And if you don't have a market, nothing else will fix that. Commercial realism is not about limiting ambition. It is about grounding it. It protects you from illusions and directs you toward opportunities that are backed by real demand. And once you adopt it, your decisions become sharper, your risks become clearer, and your chances of building something that actually works increase dramatically. Subscribe to 300 Seconds University for high-density insights in under 5 minutes.